Welcome to our podcast. It is tentatively called the CX Edge, but that may change. I am Cynthia Smith, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. And I'm here with my co host, Dino. And what we're trying to build together is to explore AI, well, technology, specifically AI, and the human experience. Dino?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dino Overseas. Been in healthcare analytics and technology for 25 plus years now. I look very forward to talking with Cynthia about technology, AI, user experience, and many other topics. AI being hot, we've decided to address that topic first. I know I myself am looking forward to talking to you, Cynthia, about AI.
Likewise. And so my background is varied. I've been in the tech field for a long time. More recently, in the last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of SaaS, data integrations. And one of the things I've turned to recently is sort of the intersection of CRM or SaaS, data, and AI all combined to improve the customer experience. So eventually we'll get to that. But as Dino said today, we're going to talk a lot about AI. I mean, that's all we hear nowadays. So Dino, so where do you want to start with this AI buzz?
It's definitely not hype. It's here. It's here to stay. It's just going to keep getting better and better. I guess I'll start a little with my AI journey. I have a bachelor's and master's in computer science. So AI at different times, the coursework for my employment, it comes up. For a long time, AI was the buzzword. You kept hearing different companies go, oh yeah, we're using AI, and really we're using machine learning. They even have maybe some decision trees and they called it AI because it helps solve a product. So AI has been on for quite some time. Some companies have successfully used it. I know some people who have been working in the space for a long time, but in the summer of 2023, and ChatGPT had already made some releases, and everybody was talking about it. I'm not sure if everybody was jumping on and using it. I jumped on and started using it. Got excited pretty quickly. I was a consultant at the time, working for a large consulting firm. I was a generalist. And that's an opportunity. You know what? This is new. This is exciting. I can maybe specialize in AI and data analytics. So I took a lot of courses. I think in the last 2+ years, I've completed over 20 courses on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
So definitely excited. I've built some courses as well too at a work setting. Prior employer, we built a certification program. We use LinkedIn courses. We utilized 7 LinkedIn courses, and we had 3 courses we built in-house. We combined all 3 with 7 LinkedIn courses and build our own 10-course certification system. So I've been involved in different ways. I've been teaching people how to use AI. So I'm definitely excited. However, I also have some concerns as well too, which we will talk about later on in conversation. But I definitely jumped on board. I am riding the AI train as much as possible. I'm having fun with it. I've paid for some of the premium features, made a video, made an AI app, besides the AI prompts everybody's using ChatGPT for. So yes, I'm having fun with it. But I do have some concerns as well too. So how about your AI?
My AI journey, same. Well, I kind of been on the AI journey a little bit before it was released. I was testing features and things like Grammarly. So I finished some graduate work in 2020. One of the criteria is that we couldn't have any grammar or spelling errors in anything we submitted online. And so Grammarly has had some of those AI features for a long time, or I shouldn't say a long time, but for a while. And so I kind of tested the boundaries of those. But when the generative part of AI came, I jumped head first. I tried ChatGPT. I quickly moved to, what's the one Claude AI. Initially, Claude, their language model was more up to date than ChatGPT. But I think all of them are constantly coming up and assuring each other on the latest update in terms of the most recent update. Earlier this year, I jumped on the DeepSeek, China's AI. And so I've been using mostly DeepSeek and Claude AI. I also use Midjourney for images, but that truly is just me playing around because the images, simple images, yes, but if you try to get complicated, somebody will have 3 eyes on the image. So
I
Right, some
forget.
AI shots, huh?
I forget. Is Midjourney the Gemini app, or who makes Midjourney?
I don't know who makes Mid-Journey. I'll take a look and look that up, but it is an attempt
Yeah,
to images, and it is pretty sophisticated, but sometimes you just have to pay attention to the
I've had some funny things have occurred with images where things are misaligned. I've had some of those like free leg video, free leg people, and that's why I was asking what you were using because I've used a few of them. I've primarily been using the large language modeling. I think that videos, the ability to create applications, definitely more exciting. However, I'm a learner, and what I've realized, what I've been using mostly is what most everybody else is using it more than anything else is to learn and read and research
and synthesize
and
large
synthesize
amounts
that
of
too.
data.
Yeah. I am also a
Wait,
Claude fan as well too.
you're a what fan?
A Claude fan. I use that a
Claude
lot
is
more.
super fast. I think Claude is one of the fastest AI tools.
It's
I
faster, and I also found it to be a little more conversational. I tell you what I mean. If I'm
agree.
looking for a consultant, I'm
Agree.
asking ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to give me my bullet points, give you the facts like a consultant.
Yeah.
But Claude has a little more softer edges. So when you're talking to Claude, it's like truly talking to somebody else. If you are writing something, and let's say you write an email and you ask ChatGPT to improve it, it sounds like a consultant wrote it to send to a CEO where honestly often I'm just, sending it to a peer or a friend,
Yeah.
and I don't need to sound like a mechanic. I need to sound the way I have written it with a personal touch. And the
What
personal touches that get wiped out.
is also like that in regard. It's very kind of stiff unless you tell it to humanize it or give it a certain tone or voice. Its original input is very, very almost like old school tech guys trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
But Claude is very conversational. Oh, I want to interject here. Midjourney was founded by a guy named David Holtz, and it's a private company. And
Yeah.
it is a lot of fun. It is really a lot of fun to play around with it and just some of the things it comes up with. And, you can do ratios and sizes.
I got to try it out. So I haven't tried it out. I've tried some of the other ones. The last one I did try was the one that comes with Gemini. I subscribe for Gemini. That's a Google version of AI for anybody who hasn't played on AI as much.
And what do you think of that?
It was honestly, I was walking to the train. I'm like, I gotta try this Gemini video because a lot of people are talking about it. So on my way to the train, I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do? And I thought of maybe a joke. And so I gave it my prompt was, I forgot what the three animals were. One was a dog, one was a rat, I think, and one was maybe a duck at a swimming pool. And I wanted them to tell a cat joke. And what happened was I was kind of hoping because I described a swimming pool that all three of them would be in the water swimming or, on a floaty or something, maybe
Yeah, yeah.
drinking. I think in my prompt it said have him drinking some margaritas or something. And then it came up with a dad joke for cats. I don't remember the joke itself, but the thing that stuck out was here I'm paying for AI and I have an 8-second video limitation. So the video can only be 8 seconds long. And honestly, I was a little disappointed by that part.
Yeah.
The graphics were okay. Nothing funny happened. But for graphics, it was fun. I'll go back to it. I just haven't done too much. I've created an AI app before too. We've talked quite a bit about what we like. One thing I do want to talk about, and you may have funny story, but any funny stories you've had with AI where you asked it to do something and it went and did something completely opposite or funny, made some big mistakes. I'm curious, any interesting experiences?
Before we get there, I want to talk a little bit.
Sure.
This is still in the vein. I think it is crucial nowadays for AI that we are using it. Like I even started using Otter AI. I think I told you about this. It was a recording and meeting summary. It would automatically, and you see it now where people add note takers to their
Yep.
meeting. And so I was using that back 2002 maybe. So those are the things That's one thing that AI does extremely well. The spelling, the synthesis, the brainstorming, very, very well. Shifting to not so much funny, but problems that I have seen with it, it has given me the wrong dates. I'm like, generate something for today, and it'll tell me something about January of 2024. So I'm thinking, oh, is that the last major update they had? And so,
That's kind of what I was looking for too. I was wondering if
yeah,
it's had some major hiccups for you.
yeah. Luckily, I proofread, and so
Yes, there you go.
catch it, but it has done that several times. And I think that's a limitation of the last major update of the AI.
I was using Gemini. I had subscribed to it. My goal was to save at least 2 hours a month. I don't write too many personal emails on Gmail. When I do, they're usually pretty short and quick. But I figured, you know what? If it's gonna help make my life more efficient, I also have Google Drive. I was already paying for some extra space. So if I subscribe to Gemini, I was gonna get excess space. I was also gonna get the ability to record videos on my meeting videos and a bunch of other features. So I went ahead and subscribed to Gemini. First time I used it was an email. I was responding to a recruiter, and my response to the recruiter was, no, I'm not interested. And it was a little nicer and polite, and it had maybe 3, 4 sentences. So I feel, okay, I just purchased this Gemini subscription. Let's try it out. I asked Gemini. I always use the word please and thank you in my prompts. But I said, Gemini, please improve my email, look for any grammatical spelling errors, and maybe even a tone. So it does its work. It comes back, and it took my message to recruiter. I said, no, thank you, in short. And it says, thank you for reaching out. I'm very interested. When can we talk? So it took my no and converted to, I am extremely excited. Let's get together. Let's talk. And so that was my first, with Gemini. Really kind of a funny. I was like, man, this is really kind of crazy. There's been other stuff too. I'm doing some research. So I started testing it right off the bat. So back in 2023,
Right.
I would ask it about topics I knew, be it sports, be it technology. I have an interest in airplanes, fighter jets. So I was asking it different topics, and I was testing it, history. I was testing its knowledge and how good it was. And I was finding back in 2023, it had between a 60 and 80% correct answer accuracy. And I have seen that improve drastically. Recently, I saw an article online that I thought was incorrect. It was about deserts in Europe. And interesting enough, Europe has a few deserts. And this one article claimed a specific desert in Europe was the only desert. I was like, no, that's not true. I know there's more deserts. I know there's one in Spain, there's one in Poland. Right. So I went and asked the AI, can you please list, and this was ChatGPT, can you please list all the deserts in Europe? And it did, and included all the deserts, but the one the article had listed as being the only desert in Europe. And I know that desert also exists too.
Right.
So long story short, you find some inaccuracies here and there.
Yeah.
And then I went back to AI and asked, hey, how about this desert? It goes, oh, yes, thanks for pointing out to me. And I went and added it to the list. Long story short, AI is great. It's improving. It ain't perfect. And what you said before, you have to proofread everything. You can't just simply copy and paste and just send. You definitely have to keep an eye on it.
You said something funny, and I used to do this initially. I would do please and thank you. Sometimes I do it, but not so much now, because also I was working on a laptop where several keys would get stuck. It would just be jumble. And some of the things, just because of the percentage of, what do you call it, proximity of the keys to each other, it would figure out the right stuff, because that's how it works. So I found that good and bad, because some of the stuff that was wrong when I mistyped was really wrong. And then, but for the most part, I agree with you. Early on, 50-60% accuracy, and now we're looking up to 60% accuracy on stuff. So
yeah, I'm not surprised about that misspelling because of the keyboard thing, because there's a large language model. And it's funny because often when I'm doing my prompt engineering, I go and correct my spellings, even though I know it knows what I'm going to say there, but I still feel like I have to provide it the proper spelling as if I'm really dealing with a human being, and it'll be offended if I don't spend the quality time typing correctly a word, but I do go and correct my words. And you're right, it could also misinterpret a word as well too.
It does. It can and it does. You're much more fastidious than I am. I don't even bother. But then I started wondering, well, am I making AI dumber if I do? So I am becoming more conscious of what I'm feeding.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And maybe we jump into some of the risks of AI with that,
Yeah.
because there is the risk of AI sometimes learning from the wrong material.
Yeah.
What was it? The AI tool, which I've not used.
Oh, yes. Me, I haven't used it either.
Yeah, that obviously clearly wasn't trained well. And for anybody watching this video,
Yeah.
it was spewing some controversial
Language.
responses. And let's leave it to that. And it was just not appropriate. It was clearly not trained on the right
Well,
documents, and they made some changes to it too, based on Elon's suggestions.
it's going to mirror human
Yep.
limitations if we don't take those into account. Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important that it be inclusive. It be part of a society that we want to create. I know there are folks who have mixed feelings about legislation. I admittedly don't know enough to talk about what we should legislate. And I don't think it's really about AI, honestly. I think we're at the stage similar to Web 1.0 in the 90s. The only difference is AI is going to be, and the coming of AI is going to be much more accelerated.
Yes,
But
accelerated, more powerful too.
yeah, more powerful and accelerated. But a lot of what we are creating depends on the humans, us, unless some aliens come or something. But it depends on who we are and who we want to be and how we want to, pass this over to future generations. You and I talked a couple weeks ago, and we talked about school, grade school in learning, because I believe China is allowing their grade school, primary school, or whatever first grade is, first through fifth grade, to use AI in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting, but more importantly than using AI, I think we should be teaching children philosophy or critical thinking, to understand and deal with, or even ask AI the right questions.
I agree 100%, especially philosophy. I had the privilege of spending 10 years in the Greek school system. So I started out in the Greek school system. I moved there when I was
Okay.
4, came back when I was 15, and they did take a different approach to education. A lot of it was very philosophical. A lot of it was they encouraged debate and questioning the teacher.
Yes.
So they got you thinking critically about things. Hey, is this right? Could it be a little differently? And you find yourself, and it was okay to debate the teacher. The teacher said something, you didn't agree with it, and you had a conversation in the classroom, often philosophical one, and the whole class participated. And
Nice.
got people thinking a little differently, a little more critically. That's one concern that I hear from some people, some family members around me, who are worried about AI potentially doing too much for us and us not using our brains enough, and therefore not exercising our brain, which is like a muscle. I don't know if that's going to be a case. We may be just using it a little differently with AI. As long as we keep doing some of the things we have to as humans to exercise the brain, be it, some basic math in our head, doing some reading, learning, and all that stuff. I am using AI, yes, to create, but also using a lot to
Well,
learn.
I
That's why I
think
find myself using it the most. Others use it for other purposes. So I don't
yeah,
feel like I'm missing out.
I
And
think as long as you continue to learn and want to learn. Now, I think, some of these, I'm going to talk about community. We view community different, but I think the problem comes when the technology isolates people. And some of that is self-isolation. So, you and I talk about this and make fun of each other because we like to
yeah,
talk whenever.
that's right.
So there is that communication and exchange of communication and ideas. And so that is what I'd like to see more of and encourage more among people, because the technology, it can allow you to reach out to people, but it can also be isolating for some people. And I hope that doesn't happen, but unfortunately it is happening.
Yeah. It is. And I know we've had other conversations. We're kind of jumping a little bit here, but yeah, I've had times in my recent career where I'm wondering why people interact with each other in different ways. And sometimes I wonder if like I have just not evolved as everybody else. And we've had conversations about simply saying good morning at the office
Yeah.
and not having everybody respond back. And some of it I couldn't tell if it's COVID, couldn't tell if it's technology. And who knows what AI is going to do to us as well, too, as humans,
Yeah.
how we're going to
Yeah.
interact with each other. Now, the one topic, and probably reason I want to start with AI, but it's been in my mind quite a bit, is
I'm
jobs.
smart. I knew
Yeah,
what was behind
yeah,
this.
jobs. We've been getting different celebrities, big time CEO executives, people that people admire, like Bill Gates, Elon Musk. And I'm not saying I admire them, but a lot of people admire these individuals. And different individuals have thrown out different names. I got some notes here on my other screen I'm going to share with you. But some of them have said, for example, and this was recently, the CEO of Ford said that up to 50% of entry-level white collar. No, actually, this was the Dario Amodi, CEO of Anthropic, which is an AI company. 50% of all entry-level jobs, white collar jobs, are going to go bye-bye. Now, Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, simply just said 50% of white collar jobs. IBM just had layoffs recently. They had let go 7,800 employees, and they are blaming AI for a big portion of it. Now, the counter argument has always been, and I'm familiar with this, and it's a counter argument I hope is right, but we hear from many people, is that every time there's a technology disruptor, it creates jobs as well too. So there are AI jobs out there. Question I have in my head, how many AI jobs will get created? How many new products me, you, and the rest of the world is not thinking about right now going to get invented, created?
Mhm.
We do live in a consumption type of economy. My concern is we can only consume so much. So when it comes to food, you can only eat so much any given day. When it comes to entertainment, you can only watch so much streaming video any given day because we only have 24 hours. We also have to have work. So long story short, I am worried about our ability as a race, human race, to create new products and demand for new products to create new jobs to replace the new jobs AI is going to replace. And I don't want to be a downbeater, but it is a concern I have and not losing any sleep over it, but I want to get your thoughts.
You know, I I think a lot of companies are wanting AI to replace jobs because, that means less money that they have to pay for payroll.
Yeah.
But it will replace some jobs in a sense that it's going to make some jobs much more efficient, and people will be able to work faster and quicker. But people are going to have to shift to using AI, at least I think for the next 5, maybe even 10 years. There are still things that AI can do.
That's exactly right.
And so, at my last full-time employment job, I worked with huge companies and they were still downloading Excel spreadsheets. So,
100%. And my prior employer, not the one I'm at right now, we were using Copilot quite a bit, and which is the Microsoft version of AI for those who don't know. And honestly, it was not that helpful. What was happening is I would have, let's say, 4 tabs that have data, and the data is the same in all 4 tabs. And I've worked in Excel for many years. I not as frequently the last few years. I kind of stopped using Excel as much. I'm dating myself in the late 90s, early 2000s. But this job, they used Excel a lot. And I had data in 4 tabs. I asked Copilot to help me combine it all in 1 tab. I'm also testing Copilot to see its capabilities. And what Copilot did, and it did this multiple times with different asks, it just gave me instructions of how to do it.
yeah.
And the truth is, I know how to copy and paste data from
Right.
1 tab to another, to another,
Right.
to another, and
Right.
combine 4 tabs. I was just hoping AI Copilot would do it for me, and being it was a Microsoft product that I was using, I was asking Copilot, owned by Microsoft, to combine 4 tabs in an Excel document. And I found that often when I asked it to do something, I had for Copilot was I was taking those educational notes I was collecting. And one necessary for everybody else for onboarding purposes. So I asked Copilot, first of all, in Microsoft Notes, Copilot didn't give me many options, but I asked it to summarize it. I wanted to ask it to clean it for me and just reorganize it. And my multiple initial attempts just were not working. Well, eventually what I ended up doing is I ended up copying it into Word. And I forgot which large language model I ended up using, but I loaded the Word document and I asked either ChatGPT or Claude to do it for me because I was not able to do the Copilot. And the reason I'm sharing this is because a lot of companies have already had the layoffs. IBM did. I've heard of some other ones that have and end up hiring the people back because it turns out AI can do exactly everything you need to do yet. Yes, you might be able to write an email a little faster. You can create a document faster. You can, and I've done this, build an outline for a presentation and have it fill the blanks.
It can also generate code. I did some programming with it. It had slight errors. Every code, every program I tried to generate, it had, when I went to test it, it had a few errors. So you're going to have to be able to read some code if you're a developer. You just can't hire an inexperienced developer who knows nothing about coding and hoping ChatGPT or Claude's going to generate the code and it's going to work perfectly. No. So those are the kind of things that eventually they may, but I also feel like so many other new jobs will be created that we really don't even know or imagine. One thing is we're probably going to start shoring up, some of what we would have called blue collar jobs in the past, like plumbing, electricity, some of those jobs. Other areas, nursing, phlebotomy. I don't think there are the AI can handle any of that. So those are still very human oriented jobs, but some things will change, some for the better, some probably not. There's the whole ethical and legal dimension of AI. So there's a lot that's going to be going on in the next 4 or 5 years. And as you mentioned, companies are going to lay off folks and then they're going to rehire. But to me, that's not as important. What is most important for me, at least for me and people I know and individuals in general, is that you are going to have to learn this new technology. You're not going to be able to really skate by and be part of sort of this next wave. You're going to have to learn what LLM means, even if you never use it. You're going to have to understand how to use the technology to write better emails. And we're also going to have to challenge it. So for example, I was always told, and it's a very small thing, but it's been bothering me sometimes. It bothers me. I was always told that when a word ends in an S, you do not have to do an apostrophe S. And the language models, so like, it's not possessive. Hold on. I can't think of anything right now, but if it ends in an S, you just put the apostrophe and you would never have to add an apostrophe S. And so it's really been bothering me that now all of a sudden, no, it seems small. All of a sudden, the technology is doing that. And I'm like, oh, somebody didn't know that, who created this large language model. And they just created a rule that said everything that's possessive, put an apostrophe S somewhere. And so part of it is going to be us correcting and helping correct these models as well.
I also heard and seen a few instances where AI is copying itself from a language perspective and people can tell AI is writing something. So was it the one dash instead of a semicolon? Which I never use, but dash myself in my language.
Okay.
And I use semicolons, commas, and periods. And there's this dash. I forgot what we call the special character.
The em dash.
Yeah. Yes, that dash. That's right. Which I hadn't. I read it. I've seen it. I see it in articles, magazines, newspapers tend to use it, and I think that's where I picked it up because it's been trained on a lot of written material. But when I'm writing, I'm usually not using it. It's a telltale sign for some people that someone's using the AI. I agree with you. There's going to be more jobs, and one job I was kind of hoping to see more of is AI ethics roles, like maybe an AI ethics officer.
Yes.
And I'm not seeing enough of those. I'm seeing some AI roles, but I was hoping to see a few different roles coming in because you mentioned legislation before. I know there is some countries right now looking to legislate it, and I know there are some companies right now spending a lot of money to lobby to keep the US government from doing any kind of legislation when it comes to AI. And I honestly do want to see some legislation. I don't know what the right legislation is. I'm not a politician or a lawyer. However, I know there are risks. I've seen questions being asked of different AI CEOs. So what's the chance, the odds of AI taking over the world? Or kind of like a Terminator type of situation.
Yeah.
And some of them say 10%, 15%. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I see the zero part. Probably agree with you, but long story short, I wouldn't mind to see some legislation around weapons and AI. They are making drones, implementing AI, and I'm sure they're training these drones heavily. But I'm worried about a drone going and taking out a school bus because it confuses it with something else. I
Yeah.
will hope and imagine they've trained it to recognize a school bus. But long story short, there's a lot of stuff to consider, and I think we're just somebody's thinking about it. I hope somebody's considering it. I hope there's some rules put in place.
So, because it's going to be also, I think it'll be easy for companies that already have really good compliance programs. So I think they consider compliance in some of the legal things around compliance. That's as far as I get. I'm not an attorney either, but I think it'll be easier for them because they're already having those conversations, right? The people that aren't having those conversations, those are the ones I worry about because like the deep fake videos are extremely good nowadays.
Yeah.
And even some of the AI videos, you can tell, but they're really good. And if you're not thinking about it, you can easily be deceived by some of those.
So
So
I'm
something's
thinking
gonna
about
have
taking it back to
to
positive mode. So there's a lot of things AI is gonna hopefully do for us. One topic you hear quite a bit about. It's also a little controversial because I'm back in the same industry now. I'm working back in healthcare. Is helping with diseases, yet finding solutions and cures or diagnosing and things along those lines. Now, at the same time, I know there's some doctors sweating it because I completely get it. It's very expensive to become a doctor. It takes many, many years to become a doctor. And I also don't want AI when it's, let's say, 80% accurate to actually be diagnosing patients, and I know a lot of insurance companies are using it to approve or deny claims, medical claims. And those AI programs are not bulletproof either. I am hopeful that we may get a cancer cure.
That's where the compliance and ethical dimensions come into play. And there are people out there, and they will be out there. Again, I go back to what kind of world do we want to have? I think with technology, our lives are better off. Some people would argue that is not the case, but overall, we have over 8 billion people in this world. I'm communicating with people halfway around the world. Well, to be fair, I've always done that. So, which goes back to the 90s. But for the average person, they are communicating, this was unheard of. And so I tend, we do have what we call a innovation bias. So I do have a pro tech bias. And so I'm aware of that. And that's why for me, it is so important, the compliance and ethics dimensions of it, or at least sort of understand it and have the conversation around it. But to ignore it is, for me, it's going to be problematic. We have to have those conversations. And I really like that you said that. Now, you mentioned this ethics officer. Are you saying this ethics officer would be C-suite?
Definitely at a director up level. Directors are not necessarily C-suite. However, they should have an executive, someone who has the ability to sign off on things or approve or at least be consulted. Because I am a little concerned of how and when AI gets applied. You often in life, when there's a new technology that does something exciting, you get excited and you do stuff. And it'd be a good idea to have somebody just ask a few questions. Should we be doing it? Should we be doing it this way? Maybe differently. So I do think that is needed. I am looking forward to seeing more AI jobs popping up. A lot of them that I have seen are on the developer side or, the C-suite, chief AI officer.
Yeah.
And then they may have a team that they build, but the majority is focused on developing and deploying products. And sometimes you need a little more. And we'll see what happens. It's still very early. It was about 2 years ago. Many organizations are still learning it. And when you mentioned everybody has to learn it, on the side, I've been helping people pro bono who are looking for work. And one of the first things usually end up teaching them is this prompt engineering, if they've never done it before.
Yes.
You mentioned Claude. I was talking to somebody who was a CTO recently, who was looking for work, CTO of a small company, and he had not heard of Claude. So as I met with him for dinner a couple of nights ago, and he was taking notes. He wrote down Claude, as I talked to him, because he had just never, asked me how to spell it. So long story short, there's still a lot of people out there who even are technical that need to.
That is true, but we all do it at different ways and different times.
That's right.
Some people don't even come to things until it's right in their face. Like the ATM, there are people who only want to deal with cash. But as we make our way toward what seemingly is going to be a cashless society, what does that mean for all of us? I almost never carry cash. And about 10 years ago, which was surprising, I was in Puerto Rico and I got into a taxi and they were like, no card, you can't use a card. So I was really shocked because I was used to traveling all around without worrying about that. So I think some people focus on the here and now, and they will continue to do so. But I want to go back to the medical part. I think it does have and will have some wonderful applications in finding diseases in medical. And I think medical students will use it to learn more, to expand their horizon, and to expand their diagnosing. So I think there are some positive things. And on the opposite end of that, they're going to probably use it and get diagnoses wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes
Because
wrong. And humans get diagnoses wrong as well
that's
sometimes.
exactly right. That's exactly
The
right.
thing is, I do see it helping improve the process as long
Yeah.
as I'm hoping they don't rush into it. They have to make sure that there's that QC check done by a human being, and hopefully the human being doesn't fully just trust AI every single time. You still need humans in the process, and hopefully stay in the process a long time. But most hopeful, and I think I may have mentioned this already, is curing diseases. And it's not just your cancers, which I hope we start there with cancer, but it's also some of the more rare conditions. Because what happens is, because you do have so many people who have diabetes, heart disease, cancer, there's often the child is born with a rare disease. And because there's, let's say, 500, 1,000 of them in the US or in the world, not always the investment is made to solve it, because we all know someone with cancer, and not everybody knows someone who has adrenal hyperplasia or some other condition. And that's actually a real condition that someone I know has.
Yeah.
And they're not always investing money into those rare conditions, because even if they're life threatening, because there's not enough people, and there's more people with heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and so on.
It's an easier lift for funders. So I wanted to get back to one more part that we haven't talked about. And as you're a data person for sure, and I've done a lot of data projects. The one thing that really, I think, it bothers me a lot, and we don't address it because it's not sexy. It is just data quality. And so unless we ensure the data quality are good, it's going to be problematic. People are still, if you have bad data, you're going to be making decisions, split-second decisions on bad data. And right now, companies just don't see it as sexy enough.
100%.
And it's the underpinning of the LLMs, in my opinion.
For those watching us for the first time, we don't exactly have a script. This is something me and Cynthia have talked about in the past. It's been a few months since we've actually talked about this, but the second you said the one thing we haven't talked about, I knew exactly where you were going. It's a topic I've brought up in many different instances and conversations as well too. Garbage in, garbage out. You know, anybody who's had computer science training and education has had this conversation. It's not just AI. It's for data science, machine learning, for any discipline or any task that uses data.
Yeah.
Your output is only going to be as good as the input.
Yeah.
And if you're not putting in quality data in, you're not going to get quality results back. Now, with AI, eventually may get so smart where it's smart enough to figure out it doesn't have quality data and cleanse it by itself. But right now, it's not there. And that's why you're having some of those mistakes are occurring. What also has evolved with AI, initially AI was trained with data. So when you asked it, question, and it would go, well, I don't have this answer because my data goes back to November of 2023 or whatever the date was.
Right.
Now, when you go use it, it goes, hold on for a second. I'm doing a search, and the search is only going to be so big. It's not going to go read everything that's ever been written in the world. So it's doing a search, it's finding some stuff, and based on what it's finding, it's come back with an answer. It may not always find all the answers and the most important answers as well too. So there's that part as well too. Now, Cynthia, I know we've gone a little long and we don't have a sponsor per se, but what I did think about is you do own your own company, I believe. And I was maybe thinking maybe you do a little plug-in for your organization, the company you work for. And no, yes, please.
I am the founder and what I call the strategic consultant of the Tech Salon. And my goal is to integrate or pull together or intersect AI, data quality, CRM, or SaaS so that we can improve the customer experience. We want to try to remove silos, have everyone in your organization talking and representing one face for the company. So that's what we do.
And I don't know if I ever said this to you, but that's one cool name. I know you've had this for a long time, and I've been sending you emails to Tech Salon for quite some time. It is a cool, catchy name.
Yeah.
And
it
kind of for coming up with it.
Brand of luxe and modern, that kind of thing.
It's pretty cool. I like it. So I think, Cynthia, this might be wraps for us. Hopefully, whoever's watching this thing enjoyed it. And then come back for more.
And I guess we can both start kind of editing it and see when we can release it. So Dino, appreciate you coming along for the ride. It's going to be fun. I knew it would be fun. I knew we would have a lot to say. I knew the hard part would be keeping us to under an hour, which we did not. And look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we have too much fun talking, Cynthia. That is exactly right. We've talked about this before too. The trick for me and you would be to keep us in under an hour. Yeah. Hopefully everybody else is enjoying this. Thank you.
Bye-bye.